All right, what is your name?
Austin McGuire.
And what is your career?
I'm a juvenile court officer with District 1 Juvenile Court Services.
Which is where?
It is the 11 northeast counties of the state of Iowa.
Okay, very neat. And what is your education background?
I have a bachelor's degree in criminology, a bachelor's degree in sociology, and an associate of arts degree in corrections.
And what education is necessary for your career?
The minimum requirements for my education is a bachelor's degree in the human services related field.
Very neat. What led you to this career?
When I came down to the University of Northern Iowa when I was 18, I began working at a detention center in a part-time capacity, and then became an in-home counselor, a tracker, and an administrator at Bremwood residential treatment, and that all kind of led me down to wanting to do case management and probation.
Very neat. What are the positives of your career?
I think the biggest thing for me is the autonomy. I kind of make my own schedule. I technically have a supervisor, but there's no micromanagement, and I can come and go as I please, and kind of having being in the decision maker role, I kind of get to have final say in a lot of things, and I kind of enjoy that freedom and kind of that independence.
Sounds like trust, too.
Yes, I would say so.
Are there any negatives you find of your career?
Probably the biggest negative would be the stress. I think, you kind of hold someone's life in your hand and you make a lot of those final decisions, and with that comes a lot of responsibility, which can become stressful with case management.
Sounds like it. What skills or qualities are necessary for somebody in your position?
I think you have to have a lot of personal integrity because you deal with a lot of ethical situations. You need to have very good multitasking skills, and you have to be extremely organized as an individual, I think, for sure.
And what's the organization for?
I think just there's a lot going on. We have very busy schedules. We're often kind of pulled in several directions at once, and unlike a lot of careers, we don't know what we're walking into every day, so we have to be able to think on our feet quickly, and that having a good organized day before really helps us with when stuff doesn't go as planned.
Okay. And what are your responsibilities?
I supervise juvenile delinquents that essentially committed delinquent crime in the state of Iowa, and my job is to be the case manager from the initial charge all the way through when they are discharged from the juvenile criminal justice system, essentially. So I oversee all aspects of the case and everybody involved, and I make recommendations to the court of what I think should happen for sentencing, and it's my job to coordinate with police and schools and providers and parents and other agencies in the community.
Okay, what are some examples of what a juvenile would be sentenced to?
You mean as far as what could happen at disposition?
Mm-hmm.
The main goal, the hope is always that we have least restrictive placement options first, which would be at home with the family, on probation with someone such as myself. The next would be removal from the home, maybe to foster care. And then the next most restrictive would be foster group care, also known as residential treatment programs. We do have a boys' state training school in the state of Iowa, which is considered a locked facility, and it's considered a juvenile prison. If a child exhausts in-state options, they can go out of state. And the last, probably most restrictive thing we can do is we can waive a child to district court to be treated as an adult.
Oh, okay. What does a typical day for you look like?
Well, that's kind of the cool thing about my job. There isn't a typical day. So I might come in one day and write a report. I may come in and have hearings all day. I may go visit a placement. I may go do community contacts. I may have meetings scheduled for the day. I may be dealing with on-call stuff. So really every day is pretty different, but for the most part, I'm interacting with juvenile offenders and professionals in the field almost all day long.
Very nice. How are you evaluated?
Well, I have a direct supervisor, and we do an annual evaluation every year. We sit down and we have goals from the previous year, and we try to see if those have been met. My supervisor also gathers several collateral kind of contacts. For example, our judges are technically our supervisors, and so I know my supervisor talks to both juvenile judges, my chief, and he talks to coworkers as well, and that kind of helps formulate how I'm doing as a person, and he plugs that into kind of an assessment tool to help generate a score of my performance.
Very neat. If there was somebody interested in going into your position, what advice would you give them?
The advice I would give would be technically the minimum requirements of my position are that you must be 21 years old, have a bachelor's degree in human services related field, and have strong personal integrity. But the reality is, I can speak for District 1. Our chief wants 6 to 8 years of experience minimum, and that needs to be diverse experience. So for me, for example, I did about 5 different positions before I became a juvenile court officer, and I think our chief would say that she wants her JCOs to have case management experience and treatment experience.
And what do you mean by case management or treatment?
She wants people to be in the community working with caseloads, having to make decisions based on the amount of cases you have, having to have that responsibility of carrying case weight, and she also wants someone to know treatment-oriented things, because our goal is to essentially elicit change and help the juvenile kind of get to a better path.
Very neat. Thank you.
Yep, perfect.